We did it, everybody. All of us watching have survived this harsh and cruel world long enough to finally make it to the first episode of the brand new Pretty Cure season, Meitantei Pretty Cure. Was it worth the wait? Well, you've seen the title already. What do you think? The dramatic tale of Meitantei Pretty Cure begins in January 2027 in the town of Makoto Mirai. First of all, that's one mouthful of a name, and second of all, Makoto Danganronpa? Whoa! The protagonist of our story is Anna Akechi, who is out on a walk with her mom. Said mom has pinkish purplish hair and green eyes. You know who else has pinkish purplish hair and green eyes? You will know once we get to later in the episode. Immediately upon meeting Anna, we find out two things about her. One, she's always eager to lend a helping hand, and two, she's a genius. You see, Anna comes across a little girl who's crying. She won't tell Anna what's wrong, but Anna's able to figure out instantly that number one, the girl has lost one of her hair ribbons, and number two, where said hair ribbon ended up. So she finds the girl her ribbon and saves the day. I'd like to mention that when Anna promises the girl she'll find her hair ribbon, she says she would never tell a lie. Given that every single Pretty Cure season requires the Cures to keep their identities a secret, we'll see how long that lasts. Anyways, Anna and her mom head back home. No sign of any dad in sight, either he's busy at work or Anna's got a single mom. Either way, today is a monumentous occasion. It's Anna's birthday. She heads up to her room where she takes off her cute purple coat to reveal the less bundled up outfit she'll be wearing for the foreseeable future. I commented on this in the video I made discussing the leaks when they first came out, but it's weird that even though Anna is a purple cure, her civilian outfit is mostly pink. In fact, with the exception of her hat, there isn't any purple in her outfit at all. Even her hat is more of a dark pink than outright purple. In more plot-important news, when Anna gets to her room, she finds a pendant on her desk. She assumes it's a birthday gift, but it turns out her mom never gave her this pendant. So who gave it to her? Well, there's something you might know. You see, who comes flying out of Anna's closet but the main fairy mascot of this season? A talking, flying, tiny bear thing called Pochitan. Do not trust Pochitan for many reasons. Number one, Pochitan is the same voice actor as Kyubey from Madoka Magica, and we all know how that turned out. 2, Danganronpa has taught me that bear mascots are evil. 3, Pochitan uses their magic and the magic pendant to send Anna back in time without her permission and without explaining why the heck they're doing any of this. And they never do explain it either, at least not in this episode. Well, regardless of whether our cute, marketable critter is secretly evil, Anna gets teleported across time and space. Not only is she forcibly whisked away from everything and everyone she's ever known, but this happens to her on her birthday. Rough deal. Where exactly does Anna end up? We find out after the opening theme. It's a nice opening song and all, but not an instant banger or anything. I imagine it'll grow on me as time goes on. We'll probably have heard it about 50 times by the time the season ends. What I find the most intriguing about the opening isn't the song, but the visuals. First of all, the shot of the two main girls singing together is super cute. Please make them canon lesbians, I beg! Second of all, look all of these distinctive looking side characters that are featured throughout the OP. Please let this season have a large fleshed out cast of minor characters like Heartcatch Pretty Cure. Gosh, I'm so excited to find out who all these people are. We also get the episode title card, and it's so cute. The two girls are standing in front of spotlights while dramatic jazz music plays in the background, and you can see the silhouettes of their cure forms in the spotlights. It's so cool. And now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Wherever and whenever Anna has been sent to, she spawns in midair. She would fall to her death, except Pochitan is OP as heck, and I'm not talking opening theme OP. The website describes Pochitan as the space-time fairy, which means they have control over space and time. Powerful enough as is, right? But what the website fails to mention is that Pochitan has won the superpower lottery. For instance, Pochitan is able to inflate himself into a giant cushion to break Anna's fall, and that's far from the end of it. Later on in the episode, Pochitan's able to cause straps to appear out of thin air so Anna can strap Pochitan onto herself. And then in the second half of the episode, Pochitan is able to make multiple people fly just by carrying them through the air, even though they're way heavier than Pochitan is. And this is where we meet our second main character. Introducing the aspiring star detective, Mikuru Kobayashi. Wait, what's this? She has pinkish purplish hair, and she has green eyes. Could Mikuru secretly be Anna's mom? Shortly after the Meitantei website first went live, a Pretty Cure Wiki user named CureWaveLamer predicted that Mikuru would be Anna's mom. At the time, I didn't think this fan theory was true because Anna and Mikuru don't look that alike. But now we know what Anna's mom looks like. The resemblance is undeniable. I bet that CureWaveLamer is feeling like an absolute genius right now. That being said, wouldn't Anna recognize her own mom even if her mom was the same age as her? I get that Anna doesn't realize she's gone back in time until the end of the episode, which brings up its own can of worms, but we'll open that later. So she probably won't seriously consider the idea that she's meeting her mom as a kid. But you'd think that she'd remember her mom's first name and maiden name, or at the very least realize that her mom and Mikuru look very similar. So maybe it's just a red herring. Or maybe Anna and Mikuru's familial connection will be revealed in episode 2. I just hope that Anna doesn't spend almost the entire show completely oblivious to a Captain Obvious reveal. Anyways, why is Mikuru here? Well, my inquisitive friend, Anna has been teleported right in front of this place called the Kyoto Detective Agency, and Mikuru has come to take a test to qualify as a detective there. Since Anna has a fairy partner, Mikuru believes that Anna is an employee of the agency and that she will be the one to officiate Mikuru's detective exam. Yeah, Mikuru is already aware that fairies exist. It later turns out she's aware of Pretty Cure as well. I guess that in this universe, supernatural stuff like this is just common knowledge. But then, why was Anna so confused about what sort of creature Pochitan is at the beginning of the episode? Did people know about fairies in 1999 and just forget about them by 2027 for some reason? Or has Anna been sent not just to a different time and place, but also to a different universe? Another question, how does Mikuru not realize, even at the very end of the episode, that Anna isn't a test officiant or anything? As the episode goes on, we see that Mikuru is no slouch in the detective department. She's perceptive and plenty smart. So how does she not realize anything is up when Anna makes it clear she doesn't even know what a star detective is, let alone what the Kyoto Detective Agency in particular does? Anyways, since Anna was teleported straight from inside her room to the great outdoors, and since people in Japan don't wear shoes indoors, Anna isn't wearing any shoes. So Mikuru takes her out to buy shoes. We see some pretty outdated TVs that are advertising the latest advent in technology. A flip phone. Wow! Both of these are pretty clear signs that we aren't in 2027 anymore, Toto. Yet Anna, despite being so perceptive at the beginning of the episode, doesn't notice anything is up until Mikuru outright tells her the month, day, and year at the very end of the episode. What's with the discrepancy? I have no idea. Oh yeah, Pochitan's a baby now. The show is so fast-paced, it kinda glossed over this for a while. Pochitan was talking right when we first met them, but we get 2 entire scene changes between Pochitan's final actual line of dialogue and the reveal that Pochitan is now a baby. Pochitan is there on screen the entire time, but they receive so little focus up until the shoe store scene that it's not even clear anything has changed. Not helping matters is that Pochitan looks the exact same as a baby as they looked before. But yeah, now they have a pacifier and can't say much other than Pochi Pochi. Where'd the pacifier come from? It's probably yet another thing Pochitan can create with their god mode powers. They do use their magic to make the pacifier disappear, so it's probable that they were the one who created the pacifier in the first place. Anyways, Anna and Mikuru come across this bride who's about to have her wedding, except, oh no! Her tiara has gone missing! Mikuru thinks helping her find the tiara is part of the detective test, while Anna just wants to help out because that's what Anna does. So the two of them set out to solve the mystery of the missing tiara. We get introduced to a bunch of new minor characters, each of whom is a potential suspect in this episode's case. Each of them has Zelda boss subtitles, which I thought was confusing at first because nobody else had been introduced with subtitles up to this point. But then I realized the obvious. The people with subtitles are the people of interest in the case. Other than the bride, only 3 people have been in the bride's room where the tiara was last seen. This married band of marital misfits consists of the following: the wedding planner, the photographer, the bride's friend who asked the bride to rig the bouquet toss for her. But here's the thing. None of these 3 could possibly have the tiara on their person. The wedding planner doesn't have any pockets, purses, or anything. The photographer has a hat, but it's too small to hide the tiara inside. Similarly, the friend's purse is too small for the tiara. And thus, our detective heroines are well and truly stumped. They go outside and are on the verge of giving up the case altogether. It's interesting that even though Anna solves the mystery at the very beginning easily, the two struggle with this episode's main mystery. But it's a good choice, because if the characters don't struggle, there's no plot. I'm gonna stop the plot for a little bit now and talk about our two main characters so far. Mikuru is by far my favorite of the two. The website describes her as liking to rely on facts and evidence rather than intuition to solve cases, in contrast with Anna, who is said to operate the opposite way. But so far, it seems like the opposite is true. Mikuru is certainly very well studied in detective lore, and this leads her to jump to conclusions and assume that everything is just like a detective story. Which, to be fair, it is, but even though this show is fictional to us, it's real to the characters inside of it. We've already talked about how Mikuru is convinced this whole thing is an elaborate entrance exam, but also, Mikuru immediately assumes that the tiara didn't just get lost, it was stolen. And the person who stole it must be one of the 3 people we talked about earlier. The bride immediately confronts her about this, which causes Mikuru to get all flustered and start backpedaling. Which leads to the second thing about Mikuru, her inferiority complex, which she hides behind an exuberant and cocky exterior. Mikuru will loudly and confidently proclaim everything she assumes to be true, only to get quickly embarrassed and walk stuff back when confronted on the holes in her logic. And that's not all. After they go outside, Mikuru loses all hope of passing the test and believes she's simply not cut out to be a star detective like she's always dreamed of being. Anna has to persuade Mikuru to believe in herself and not give up. They could always try one more time, after all. I should mention that I love how Mikuru's voice actor, Kaede Hondo, hands it up. She's clearly having a blast as the future star detective. It's also neat how Mikuru keeps turning to address the audience in a not-so-quiet whisper so we can be privy to her secret personal thoughts. It gives me Hawkeye vibes, which is fitting since they have the same voice actor. Anna, by contrast, is a lot more mid in my opinion. Sure, it's remarkable that even though Anna has been mysteriously teleported to who knows where and is surrounded by strangers, her first thought isn't to figure out how to get back home, but instead to help the bride find her tiara and to help Mikuru become a star detective. That being said, the lead here being super selfless and always doing their best to help everyone in need is far from unique. Her positive attitude and ability to drag people out of despair is even less so for a lead cure. Other than those two things, Anna's only other standout attribute is being a genius, which, to be fair, is pretty standout, and that she briefly gets frustrated with Pochitan for teleporting her to heck knows where. And though this is a pretty negative trait for an otherwise bubbly, positive main character, it's also with precedent. So really, Anna is basically what if typical lead cure, but not anywhere near as ditzy. Alright, back to the plot. Mikuru's hair ribbon blows away in the wind. It lands in a bush. How strikingly familiar. And the bush has a bunch of flowers in it. A lost item, hidden inside a bunch of flowers. Anna and Mikuru suddenly get a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, and they simultaneously and instantly realize who the culprit is. But before we get to find out who done it, we get our eye catch that appears either before or after the commercial break, I forget which. It's drawn in this adorable chibi art style with rough crayon-like line art and a watercolor paint-like coloring and shading style. And now, the big reveal. The culprit is the bride's friend. Instead of hiding the tiara on her person, she hid it inside the bride's bouquet. That way, once the bride tossed her the bouquet, she would get the bride's tiara as well. Ha 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 ha. Alright, that was pretty darn impressive, not gonna lie. I would have never figured that out on my own. I appreciate that even though this show is primarily for little kids, they didn't dumb down the mystery and make it super obvious. I don't know whether to be impressed or confused by how quickly the girls realized the truth of the situation. It makes sense, don't get me wrong, but how could they have ever realized it? In Danganronpa, usually there are steps that the characters take to slowly arrive at the conclusion of the case. They don't just immediately realize everything. But here, immediately realizing everything is exactly what they do. It makes it hard to follow along with them. Or maybe I'm just stupid, I don't know. The whole reveal scene is really cool though. The part where the girls dramatically put at the screen and shout, "Aninu, anato desu!" is so Danganronpa coded. And then the bride's friend suddenly does an evil smile and starts slow clapping. And I was like, OMG, A side character who's evil and isn't even one of the villains? But then, the friend of the bride pulls off her disguise, revealing herself to actually be one of the villains after all. Introducing Niji, one of the members of the Phantom Thief gang Phantom. Yes, that's its actual name. The Pretty Cure Wiki just calls it the Phantom Thieves Guild because it sounds better in English. Niji is a card-carrying evil dude who is having the time of his life being an evil phantom thief who steals stuff. And he's also a campy pretty boy with long green hair. And he speaks in gratuitous English every so often. Why? Because he can. So yeah, the bride's friend was never actually there. It was just this dude in disguise cross-dressing. Nobody tell the Republicans about this show, they'll pee their pants. Also, nobody asked how Niji managed to get that entire disguise off with just a single tug. It's probably magic or something. Anyway, are all culprits in the show going to secretly be a disguised phantom thief? If so, that would get boring. Surely there must just be ordinary people who steal stuff without being phantom thieves. And also, surely there must be more people who simply lose things. So anyways, Niji leans in real close to Anna's face and says, "I'll take that," as he grabs the tiara out of Anna's hand. This would be kinda hot, not gonna lie, except that this guy is clearly older than Anna, so I'm probably just reading too much into it. And off to the races he goes. Anna and Mikuru chase off after Niji, who is really fast because he's used to stealing stuff. Fortunately, Pochitan is able to help them out by flying them over to his location. They all end up in a conveniently empty forest clearing with no buildings or anything around. It's just them and a bunch of dirt. Rather than continuing to run away, Niji decides to have some fun with the two girls. He calls them both baby in gratuitous English, which is weird because is he flirting with these two middle schoolers? I guess it's just how he talks with everybody? Whatever. Anyways, he explains that he wasn't actually after the tiara itself. You see, in this world, whenever an item is deeply cherished by a person, it attracts a magical item called a Makoto jewel. Yes, that is quite possibly another reference to Danganronpa Makoto. You know, most guys only have 2 family jewels, but it seems like we're gonna find another one of Makoto's jewels every single episode. What a specimen indeed. So Niji does what every single villain in Pretty Cure does. He turns a random object, in our case the tiara, into a giant monster that attacks the heroines. Every season has its own name for its giant monsters. This year, the monster is called a Haninda, which is literally Japanese for "I'm the culprit." Mikuru is absolutely terrified because, you know, giant freaking monster. She's shaking and trembling and sweating and is stuck frozen there with fear. And to make matters worse, despite being the detective's enemy, Niji has a pretty strong detective-like intuition of his own. He's able to tell that Mikuru has quite a bit of self-doubt about her detective abilities, and he tries to take her down with words by telling her she's just a pathetic wannabe who will never be a real detective. Maybe I'll just say that Niji is a great villain so far. Like I said earlier, he's having the time of his freaking life, and he has the psychological warfare element to him. And he's just straight up cool in terms of personality and aesthetic. The guy has a cape, and a half domino mask, and top hat, and sparkles, and a rose, and this guy is just one of the 4 villains who have been shown in the opening theme. If the others are half as good as this guy, I can't wait to see them. Anyways, back to Mikuru being scared as heck. Anna won't stand for Niji bullying her new friend, so she tells Niji that no, Mikuru will be a star detective because she's smart and capable and she really wants to help people. Niji tries to get all in her head too by pointing out that Anna is also scared. But here's the thing, unlike Mikuru, Anna doesn't really have any character flaws so far. Sure, she's shaking a bit, but she's able to suppress her fear and stand up to Niji and his giant monster, even without encouragement. She also doesn't have any insecurities like Mikuru does. This is yet another reason why so far, Mikuru is absolutely best girl and there's no contest. Remember that pendant Anna got at the very beginning of the episode? The girl's feelings of determination are so strong that a second magical pendant appears, this time for Mikuru. And so they transform into the Star Detectives, the titular Meitantei Pretty Cure. Oh my god, this transformation is so good! I am genuinely so serious right now when I tell you this might just be the best Pretty Cure transformation in the history of the entire franchise. Where do you even begin? So we can start with the pacing. I've had with a lot of the Pretty Cure transformations lately is their pacing. Maybe I'm just a dum-dum, but they go a little too fast for me, and it's difficult to process an article of clothing appearing by the time the next one appears. This transformation, on the other hand, is slow enough to be easy for me to keep up with, but isn't so slow that it's boring. Also, the two girls transform together, which is awesome because we haven't had very many duo transformations in the past few seasons. We did have Cure Zukyun and Cure Kiss from just last year, but I never got very far in that season, so I never got to them. I love watching these two characters, though, hold hands and interact with one another, especially the part where Cure Answer tells Cure Mystique to do a little twirl for her. The lesbians! Speaking of telling, the past few seasons have had a lot of dialogue interspersed throughout the transformation sequences. I guess just the flashing lights and pretty colors aren't enough to keep kids entertained these days, they need dialogue as well. Sometimes this added dialogue is really obnoxious, like the Kimitsu yay! Isoni in the last season. But this time, I don't find the dialogue annoying at all, which is really nice. On the topic of audio, the transformation background music is killing it. I absolutely adore the jazz music playing in the background. This season has been using quite a bit of jazz, and that gives the soundtrack its own identity separate from the other seasons. Oh, one more thing, the chin thinking emoji gesture that Cure Mystique does near the end is so cute. Okay, now they're transformed. Like I said before, Cure Mystique already knew about the existence of Pretty Cure, and she's super hyped to become one herself. Look at her jumping up and down here, it's adorable. She really is best girl. By contrast, I'm not sure if Cure Answer already knows about Pretty Cure. She seems surprised at being a magical girl now, but only mildly so. Now that the girls are superhuman, they're able to take out the giant monster without much trouble whatsoever. It's a well-animated fight, but it's a little short for my liking. I'm pretty sure the transformation sequence is longer than the fight itself. Hopefully the next episodes have longer fight scenes, because it is fun watching magical girls kick and punch the living daylights out of giant monsters. Even the girl's finishing attack is surprisingly simple, though it is still awesome. The attack is literally called, "This is our answer." No fancy title or anything, just a simple sentence. There's also no special background or stock footage or anything. They turn into a beam of light, pierce through the Haninda, and come out the other side while a giant column of light explodes around the Haninda, purifying it. This reminds me of the finishing attacks from the first few episodes of Fresh Pretty Cure, all the way back in 2009. They were also very simple laser attacks without any special stock footage. Other people didn't like these attacks because they were so basic, but here's the thing. They were only so basic because they got upgraded forms later on in the show. I get the feeling we're going to be seeing more sophisticated attacks as the cures become more powerful. With the giant monster defeated, it turns back into its original form, the Makoto Jewel, which falls into Cure Answer's hand. Now that he's been defeated, Niji shouts, "So the curtain falls, until the next act!" And then he throws a smoke bomb and either teleports away or just does a really good job of hiding himself while he runs away really fast. It's unclear, but it's also awesome. How could you not love watching this guy? That being said, if Niji was capable of running away the whole time, why didn't he just do that from the start? If he hadn't stopped to summon a giant monster, he could have just taken the Makoto Jewel back with him, and the girls would have never had the opportunity to snatch it back. Well, actually, now that I think about it, if he had just tried to run away without fighting the girls, they probably would have chased him all the way back to the secret headquarters, and that could have ended up really bad for the Phantom Thieves Guild, so never mind, I guess, about that. Also, why didn't he just take the Makoto Jewel and leave the tiara behind? It's not that the bride had any need for the Makoto Jewel. If he just left the tiara alone, the bride would have never noticed anything was wrong and nobody would have ever tried to catch him. Oh, whatever. We cut to the wedding where the bride has her tiara back. How exactly? We see Cure Answer obtaining the Makoto Jewel, but we never see either of the girls re-obtaining the tiara. I guess it fell into Cure Mystique's hands off screen or something? Anyway, the bride's friend, the real one, not Niji pretending to be her, is at the wedding, and the bride does indeed toss the bouquet to her. This is when I noticed some neat foreshadowing earlier in the episode. The bride commented that she agreed to rig the bouquet toss for her friend because said friend was actually on time for once. The fact that the friend was on time for the wedding preparation was out of character for her, foreshadowing that this wasn't actually her friend. The real friend misses the wedding preparation entirely and only barely makes it to the wedding itself. This is likely why Niji chose to impersonate her. You don't want two of the same person running around or people will get suspicious. Pure Answer and Pure Mystique never detransformed, which makes me wonder how they got the tiara back to the bride. Did they give it to her while transformed? If so, wouldn't that mean the bride now knows their civilian identities? Anna and Mikaru run into the forest to get the tiara, and Pure Answer and Pure Mystique come out of the forest with the tiara. It isn't hard to put 2 and 2 together. Well, whatever. Pure Mystique still thinks this is all a test, and she believes she passed because she became a Pretty Cure. She's super excited to be part of the Kyoto Detective Agency's class of 1999. Only upon Pure Mystique saying this does Pure Answer realize she's done gone to the past. Pure Answer calls 1999 the ancient past, which is hilarious since 1999 wasn't even 30 years ago for her. Or for us, for that matter. Also, is there a new batch of Pretty Cures every year in this universe? Are there potentially way more cures than just the 4 on the website? Well, we won't find out for a while because this is where the episode ends. We do get to see the show's ending theme though. The animation is so cute and I adore the VHS type distortion at the beginning. As for the song itself, it's fine, but again, not an insta-banger. The chant at the very beginning and end of the song is cute and catchy though. I'll imagine this song will grow on me with time. Something worth noting is the ending theme dance animation features Cure Arcana Shadow just as prominently as Pure Answer and Pure Mystique. We're all happily dancing together despite the fact that the opening theme shows Cure Arcana Shadow standing right alongside the other villains and even attacking the other 2 cures. If Cure Arcana Shadow doesn't eventually pull a heel face turn at this rate, I'll be so shocked I'll die of electrocution. But you know who doesn't appear in the ending theme, or the opening theme, or anywhere in the entire show? That's right, the mysterious cure prominently shown on the website and promotional material, Cure Eclair. If you were just going off of the show itself, you would have no idea Cure Eclair even existed. It seems at this rate she might be the mid-season cure, which is weird because the website displays her before Cure Arcana Shadow. If Cure Eclair is the mid-season addition to the team, then that might mean we don't get to see another dude cure after all, which is a shame, but also, I have heard rumors that the name of a 5th cure this season was leaked. I'm gonna try and muster all my willpower and not look at the mid-season leaks this time, so we'll see whether that actually amounts to anything in the end. And that's the episode. I've written over 7 pages of script for a single episode, and I am not looking forward to trying to record and edit it all before episode 2 airs. How other Pretty Cure YouTubers upload so quickly, I have no idea. Just writing this script took me hours. But it's okay because this episode, despite having some hiccups here and there, was really good. The aesthetics are good, the starter villain steals the show, Mikaru is the best character, the mystery was well written, and there's so many more things that I can't wait to find out about. If it weren't for me needing time to finish this video, I would say that episode 2 cannot come soon enough. I'll see you all when I review that one.